Hi guys, this video to show you some example of FYP VIVA presentation content. That means like what kind of content you need to put for your FYP VIVA presentation. The time allocated for the VIVA presentation section is 15 to 20 minutes. It depends on your university. And additional 10 minutes for the Q&A section. Sometimes it depends on examiner. If they have more questions, maybe will be more than 10 minutes. Okay. Next, suggestion for the PowerPoint slide, right, should be at least more than 10 slides. So each slide will be like within 1 minute. So your presentation will be like more than 10 minutes. It's an VIVA is an opportunity for you to defend your thesis in front of your academic expert. Okay, that means your examiner. It's a good opportunity for you to defend your thesis. Something like sometimes students they maybe not the clear explanation in their thesis, but they can explain well in their VIVA section. So examiner will give them opportunity for them for do some correction for their thesis after the VIVA section. Okay, this one is your example of your first slide. That means when your VIVA presentation slide, the first slide will be your FYP title, and then you need to put your name as a presenter and then your supervisor name. Okay, next. Okay, so this slide is about overview. Overview shows all the section covered in this VIVA presentation slide. Okay, so the first one will be background of study. Second will be problem statement, and then objective, literature review, methodology, result and discussion, conclusion, and future work. So all this is covered in this VIVA slide. Next will be your background of study. Okay, so this slide is one of the example of the background. So let's say we talk about EMI background. So it's a definition for electromagnetic disturbance, which that means is a source, radiative, and then effect on the victim. That means other device, electronic device. So what will happen? They will interrupt, they will degrade the performance of the electronic or electrical equipment. Next will be the EMI source. So you can see from here is like the source caused by human made is commercial radio, telephone communication, electronic device, IoT device. So all this is like device that can transmit signal. So they have a radiation. Yeah. So you can see from here is a telephone that can radiate. So this is the nature source like lightning, atmosphere. Okay, so the lightning they have the EMI that can affect on the any electronic device as well. Next we will talk about the problem statement. Okay, so for problem statement, right, so you need to state clearly that the problem being investigated and the reason for conducting the project and research, why you do this project. So example, a wireless device far away from a transmitter device and the receiving signal might be low. Yeah, if your device is far away from the transmitter device, of course your receiving signal will be low. So undesired interference affect the performance of the wireless system. So they have some problem is like undesired interference that will affect the performance of the wireless system. So this is the two problem. So if your device is very far away from the transmitter, so your receiving signal will be very low. So how to solve it? And then another problem will be interference, undesired interference cause your performance of your wireless system. So how are you going to solve it? So this one is something like example of your problem statement. Next will be your objective. Okay, every objective and its importance in the project is to be briefly explained. Every objective is to be logically placed. Yeah, example, to develop, to design, to characterize. So all the objective you write in your thesis will be to solve your problem statement. So just now the problem statement is to show that very low signal. So maybe you can develop or design something to support the signal. That means maybe can solve the low signal problem or the interference problem. Okay, so this is how you create the objective. Okay, here have some example of the objective. So you want to solve the low signal problem, right? So you can to design and simulate an antenna to solve your low signal problem, and then to fabricate and measure the antenna performance, and then to apply the antenna to improve the WLAN application signal. Yeah, so this is an example of the objective that to solve your problem statement. Okay. Okay, for literature review, so what we should put in the literature review? The theory that apply for the project and research. Yeah, you can put some theory. If you do something like electronic, you can put some theory. Maybe it's like how to calculate the voltage, the current, and then the circuit. Okay. And then if you're doing something like antenna or microwave design, you will calculate the impedance matching, the transmission line, how you get the design. Yeah, you can put some theory about your project. And then reference related, that means like maybe previous work, they have some example related to your design. So you can put that as your example. Of course, you will refer to other reference before you do your project. You will have some literature review what kind of previous work which others people have done. So you will after collect all the data, then you will do some improvement to create your project. And then some application related to the project. So some maybe your FYP is basic, but after that, once you create your FYP, you finish your FYP, right? So maybe you can use your FYP for some application. Let's say you design some antenna, so you can use your antenna plug into the maybe some device, so to check your antenna performance. Okay, is it your antenna can apply for some application? Okay, and also put some summary in your literature review, summary comparison like previous work. So how many people, not how many people, it's like they have few people or some people that do your similar project. So you can do some comparison. What is the difference between your work and their work? Okay. So next. Okay, so let's see about the example of related reference. You can see this one is like common FSS element shape. Okay. So you can check that I have a square, ring, and then circular patch or tripod. So we can, from this reference, right, if we do some study, so we can know like which design have what kind of advantage and the advantage. Okay, so this one is like example of related reference. So next will be another related reference will be like, here is a table of comparison. So we can check about this one is like, they have like comparison between the performance of common FSS. So you have so many shape and then they have found out that what is the advantage and the advantage. That means the best or the second best for the design. Okay. So you can check from here which one is the best one. So you can choose for your project with the reason. That means let's say why you choose this shape. Okay, so you have reason because they are best in this few areas, larger bands, small band separation, and then increased stability, cross polarization. Okay, so every reference that you put, right, you must have a citation. Okay, so you in VIVA site, right, you also can put some citation here, and then let the examiner know. Okay, so this table is come from this reference. Okay, so next. Okay, so this one is some 4 basic square loop FSS. So we know that we choose a square design, so we need to have some square design related reference. Is something like, if you design the square loop like this, then you will get band stop. If you design something like this, you will get band pass. So if you design something like this, you will get low pass. If you design like this, then you will get high pass. Yeah, so this one is an important reference for you before you start your project. Okay. Next will be example of the theory part. So this one is an example of the theory part. So you can check about like FSS structure. So this is your design, your square loop, and then this one is the equivalent of the design FSS. So you can use the FSS structure, maybe using the equivalent circuit to explain why they have different like separation here. So maybe they will conduct is like inductor and capacitance. Okay, so this one is some theory, and then you can put some formula as well. Next. Okay, so this one is like example for application software. So some people they're doing software, right? So they can refer to some previous work, what kind of software they have in the market. So this one is some example. So you can put like this software and then you can explain it, and then this software is from which company, and then how to use it, how flexible, what's the advantage, what's the disadvantage, okay, and then how convenient is it, and then you must put some citation, yeah, because you get this where do you get this software. Okay, so this one is about the website. So if your project is about design web page or any website, So you can search the related website, okay, and then you can compare it with your project. So let's say your project is to create a website and then including the RF calculator like microstrip calculator. So you can compare with other websites. So you can check about like how their interface looks like, how they works, and then what is the important parameter they need for the calculator. Okay, so but you must have a citation of the website that you screenshot. Okay, so next, summary of comparison with the previous work. Okay, so you can have some summary of the comparison with the previous work is something like what the previous author they have reported or they present, and then in recent year, like many author they have find out something about this. So this one is some comparison. So also you can use a table for comparison, something like here, table 1 here. So you can compare the reflectivity value of pyramid absorber with the previous work. So you can put a reference here, and then what is the parameter that you want to compare, the average reflectivity, and then the operate frequency. So this one is frequency range. So this one is the reflectivity. Okay, so this one is a type of the absorber. So you are comparing different type of absorber with different parameter. Okay, so this is how you compare with your previous work. Okay, next. Okay, so this slide will show about the methodology. What is the content about in the methodology is to show your project research flow. So your flow chart, how is your project works. Yeah, you can put some flow and then show some method that follow the flow. And then you can show some equipment, tools, software that you use for your project or your research. You also can show some method or technique that you use for your project as well. Okay. Next will be show your project research setup and design. Okay. So in the end, you also can show like your project setup, how you set up your measurement system, or what is your design, and then how you design it. So this one is all is methodology. Okay. So next, example of how to measure sample. That means this one is using a tools, how you measure your sample. Okay, using a vernier caliper to measure the height of the pyramidal absorber. Okay, so this one is an example of simulation setting. So this one is like how you simulate your absorber. So how you put the setting, how you set the setting in the simulation. Okay, so this one is an example of a simulation design. So you can put like the width and the length, okay, and the dimension of this design structure, and then you can label what is this mean, and then what is this mean, like copper, and then here will be the TRY5. Okay, and then okay, so for here is like example of specification. So you can list down the specification, what is the material that you use, what is the parameter, okay, you use for design your project. Okay, so you also can label, you need to label what is this mean, what is this mean. Okay, so labeling can let the examiner more clearly what is this about. Okay, and then okay, this one is an example of comparison. It's almost similar as the literature review. It's just want to tell the examiner why we choose the square loop. Okay, so it's the best for all the category. That's why we choose the square loop. Okay, and then you can put the reference here. This is from the source here. Okay, next. Okay, example of measurement setup. Okay, so every measurement setup, right, you need to remember to put some label to let the panel know what is this mean. Okay, so this one is receiver. So this one is FSS structure. So this one is transmitter. Okay, so another one. Okay, so this one is EMI shielding mechanism. So this one is some theory about your project. So you can explain to the panel as well. Sometimes you put this kind of theory in the methodology to show that why you have such setup, the measurement setup. Okay, because of this kind of theory, too easy for the panel to understand as well. Okay, next. Okay, so this one is an example of illustration of measurement setup. Okay, sometimes you can draw some diagram for your measurement setup, because sometimes maybe your lab is very messy, you're not able to get the proper picture, so you can draw an illustration as well. Okay, so but you must have a very good labeling to let the panel know what is all this thing about. Okay, next. Okay, so this one is an example of application setup. So how you set up for apply your FSS structure for your application. So you can see from here, you can expand like wireless adapter here, transmit the signal, pass through the wireless FSS structure, and then to the laptop. So the signal bar will be from low to high. Okay, this is some example for you to explain about your application setup. Next will be like another measurement setup. Yeah, you also can put something is like in your lab, you can label down like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then what is the item in here, okay, to show that your measurement setup. Example of this application software configuration. So some students, maybe they don't have like hardware measurement or any testing, right? So they only do like to create a software, the application software. So they can screenshot their part by part of their design in their software. So let's say this student is like the screenshot about the configuration. So this configuration you can put in methodology. What is this about, and then what is this about? Okay, 1 until 7. So you can explain each of the function of the icon. Okay, so this one is like for those students design their project is application software because they don't have hardware measurement, right? Okay, so you can do part by part. Okay, next will be about the result and discussion. This part will be like result and discussion. You can show the graph or the table result, and then show the summary result using table. That means sometimes like you have one graph or few graph, or you have one graph a lot of result inside. So you can summarize it using a table. Okay. So you also can show some short video how the project works. That means some students they're doing like website, electronic project like robot or mobile apps. So they also can do some short video. That means they can record like how their website works, how their apps works, and then how their robot function. Okay, this one is like example. You can do some short video. And then example project like website, mobile apps, electronic project will show later what is the result you should put into the VIVA slide. And then take notes. Every result must have like analysis and explanation. Next will be your discussion. Okay, so about the discussion is like to describe what your result means, and then specification in the context, and then what was already know about the subject of the investigation. And then you need to indicate like how the result related to your expectation. That means you have your literature review, right? So of course you must have like some expectation from what the outcome of your project. Okay, so you can do some discussion about that. It's an example of S parameter, okay, from antenna design. So you can show the S parameter and then your labeling here. Okay, this is example of graph. This one is another example of graph, but it's like for parameter sweep. That means you can change like the dimension of the W here. Okay, so you can check like what is the size of the W changing, and then effect on the resonant frequency. Okay, so this one is one of the results that you can show about different parameter. Okay, yeah, you also can summarize the result using table. That means, okay, so you can see like when the length of the W is increasing, okay, so what happened to the frequency, resonant frequency, and then what happened to the S parameter and the S11 and S21. Okay, so you can do summarize in table as well from the graph. This one is another example of S parameter result. Okay, so you can put like, okay, parameter. So what happened if you have one square loop only? What is the S parameter? So what happened when you have two square loop, four square loop, 16, 35? So this one is like the investigation of to check about what happened if you have a lot of square loop in your design. Okay, so this one is your S parameter result. Yeah, you can summarize using table as well. Okay, so for project of develop website. Okay, so some student their project is develop website, right? So student can make a short video how their develop website works. Okay, they can make a short video. They also can screenshot their website page, user interface, function. Let's say function is like how the website read and write from the database. Maybe you can show step by step, okay, of the result. And then if if detect error, what is the pop-out message? Okay, what is the pop-out or the pop-out message? Okay, so this one is like short video. You can show like step by step how to use your web page, what is the function in your web page, yeah, for students that develop the website. And then next, so for student develop like application software, right? Okay, the apps, you can show the user interface, and then you can explain how to use each function of the tab here. Okay, so what is the each column meaning, and then what is the parameter you need to key in, what is the input you need to key in, what is the output that you will get. Okay, you also can do like short video to show what is the result. Okay, you can use an example to put in the parameter input and then get the result that you want. So this one is mobile apps. So this is the icon. So this one is the user interface. So you can choose which type you want to calculate. Okay, then you will go to the interface, key in the input, then you will get the output. And then another function, the next, they have the formula here. So you click on the formula, you will get to this page to understand what is each type of the calculator means. Okay, the formula inside. So another one, like user interface, in the result you can put the user interface, but you need to explain part by part. So what is this purpose for, what is this meaning? Okay, so because the user interface is created by you, the panel might not fully understand what is the user interface and then how is that works. Okay, so in the VIVA you can explain like part by part how it works. Okay, and then if you have label, it's much easier for you to explain. And then okay, so next will be display result. Okay, so you can see like when you run the program, the result will show here, and then you can explain like what is this graph means, and then what is this graph from the data, where you get this data, what is the result means. Okay, you can make some simple discussion explanation about this graph. Okay, next, okay, let's say it's like your result is like function. You create a function to export the data, so you can explain like this function is to export the data. So part by part, what is the meaning of this kind of function? Okay, what is the purpose? And then as a result, what they export. Okay, so you can see the export is like in frequency range, dB, and phase. Okay, and then they have like time and date as well. So all is created by here. Okay, so you can explain to the panel as well. Next, okay, example, a short video for electronic project. Okay, this one is like to show some how your project functions. So when the video is running, you can show some explanation as well. You can let the panel know what does this mean. Okay, maybe here, okay, something like this. They are moving, and then if they detect something, they will red color. Okay, so this one is an example of how you use the short video. Next, okay, next will be the conclusion. Conclusion is a summary and achievement of this project or research. That means what you achieve from this project, then what is the finding and from the analysis result, and then what are the limitation of this study. So this one is optional. You want to state the limitation of this study. Okay, what do you find out? What's the limitation? Okay. Next will be about the future works. So you can suggest of future works can be done in the future. Example like replace some device, okay, to improve the performance, or enhance the robot by using something else, okay, like increase the speed of the car or what, okay, so reduce the size of the antenna or reduce the size of the device. Okay, so this one is some example of the future works. Okay, so preparing the slide, that means you're preparing for your VIVA slide. You can ask yourself this question, okay. What is this project about? What did you do? Okay, your method, what did you do? And then what did you find? So what is the result? From the result, what did you find? And then what does that matter? So what does this matter about your project? So you do this project, what is the contribution of this project? Okay, what this project can do. Okay, so all this and all this question, right, actually you can ask, you can search it, you can find the answer by yourself, or you can ask your supervisor. So his supervisor should be the best resources where you can get all the answer. Okay, so try to discuss with your supervisor, keep in touch with your supervisor. Okay, so next slide will be your Q&A. So this one is your last slide. Okay, do remember all your slides must have a page number, so easy for the panel to ask you to refer back which page number. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video.